Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. Project we've got going on today is I need to change out the brake rotors and pads on the front of my truck. It's a 2015 Silverado 3500. We've got it set up for a work truck. And as I've got it set up now with the bed that's on it, all of the tools, extra fuel tank, all that, it's weighing about 11,500 pounds. And what's happened, the stock brake rotors that came on this thing have gotten overheated from driving in these hills and warped. Apparently pretty common occurrence. So what I've got to do is pull the front wheels off, pull the brake calipers off, and swap out the rotors and put new pads in it. So I'm gonna get y'all set up and we'll start tearing into this thing and hopefully not have any surprises while we're doing it. Well, that could be part of the reason that my dang...
Depends on how many of them are that loose.
I recently had this tire replaced due to sidewall damage, and apparently the tire shop didn't tighten all of the wheel lugs.
Yeah, for a car this high, I just tacked all this stuff together, so we may want to drop that. Here's a new pair.
So close. The damn drive shaft is... one of those times where short impact is useful. So the bolts holding the caliper on top and bottom are 21 millimeter. I'm using a piece of heavy gauge wire to support this caliper. It keeps from putting any strain on the brake line or any ABS connections that you got while you're working on the rest of this stuff. Looks like the nuts that hold the rotor on are 21 millimeter as well. And they have conveniently put a hole in the front of this wheel mounting flange that you can stick a socket through and get to the nuts. That ain't gonna work. Oh, and how am I gonna get those broke loose? Alright, I guess I just need to change the battery on my impact. If you don't have a socket and an extension, you can lock two wrenches together like this to get enough leverage to get the nut loose. Well, I wasn't expecting that. I figured I was gonna have to beat that off of there. Two 58074 3004. This is the part number for the replacement rotor. We're gonna check it and see. The one that's on there is pretty dang heavy, so I don't know if this is a better tool or not. Looks like these are the same thickness, other than the grooving on the face of it for letting gas out. I don't know that these are any heavier duty or not. They're pretty glazed. rotor is supposed to be the AC Delco Gold heavy duty vented rotor for this truck. And it's not any thicker than the one that came off of here. The only difference is the grooves on the face of it to let the hot gases out. I don't know, the other one that was on here is clearly warped because you can feel it surging in the wheel and on your foot when you're stepping on the brakes. So what we're going to do is go ahead and put these on and then check these other ones and see if they can be turned down to and stay within tolerance, and then throw them on the shelf as a backup set. 'This part where I'm supposed to say click. I don't know if it's necessary, but I tightened all these bolts in a crisscross pattern to keep from potentially warping that flange on the hub extension, since it's, you know, machined down, so you just got ears sticking off. I just figured it'd be better to err on the side of caution. (7/8), which is the lug nut size, is too big for those. So it is metric, which is interesting. And 21mm don't fit the lug nuts, but 7/8 does. I would say the old pads were just a little worn. Old pad, new pad, they're probably about half gone. Well, it looks like the caliper's floating pretty well because they're worn pretty evenly. Yep, that'll work. Oh. And of course the brake bleeder is 10mm, same as. Rather than just collapsing the piston and forcing the old, potentially burnt up fluid back into the system, I'm going to stick this bottle with a hose on it on the bleeder valve and open the bleeder valve. It's that way as we're compressing the piston, it's pushing that old fluid out into the bottle. It's just a little bit of a precaution to try to keep from contaminating the system.
We'll see them in about 10 days. They're coming
Put the little rubber cap back on the bleeder. So these are the brake pad keepers, and they should also be the squealers if you get down low enough. They just keep the pads from rattling inside the caliper. And they just snap in. See, there's the old one, and there's a little tab right here that holds it in place, and it slides back in, and then that tab catches, and then there's another little tab right here that catches on the inside. And there's a left and a right. They're shaped differently. See, that little tab's on different sides. There's a left and a right, top and bottom, and they go in. The matched pair is diagonal from each other.
Jumping right in there?
Mm-hmm. Yep. You just gotta pry that little anti-rattle spring up a little bit to get it flat past there. It goes right in. Let's see if I got the piston retracted far enough to get it over the disc. Nope. One of the reasons I didn't push that piston in all the way, I thought I had gone far enough, is that if there's any kind of damage to the boot that seals the piston, you could have dirt in there, and after the piston has been outside the bore for a while, it'll collect that grit, and when you push it back in, it could potentially score the inside of the cylinder in the caliper. These boots were in good shape. I was just, I guess, just not thinking when I didn't push it all the way in. So you're gonna see I gotta put it back the way it was with the old pad so I can push both pistons in at the same time using the clamp.
Seen the other engine stand at this.
I didn't mention this when I bled this caliper the first time, but before you release the pressure on your clamp, you want to make sure and close the bleeder valve, because it could potentially suck air in and you'll end up with soft brakes. Now it's going back in pretty good. The brake fluid actually doesn't look too bad. That's it all the way in. So let's put the new pad back in there and see if it'll go over the rotor now. Thing's a little fiddly. I just had you in there. What are we doing? Oh. There's an old brake pad in there that I was using to press those pistons back, and to get the new one in, you got to take the old one out first. That ought to fit a little better now. Now let's see if we can go back on. And new brake pads that are going to have to be bedded in. And All right, one done. Move everything to the other side and try again. Okay, we got the brakes replaced, new rotors, new pads. So what we got to do is bed the brakes in. And what that means is you've got to get the coating off of the pad and off of the rotor and get these brakes so that they'll actually stop you. And the way you normally do that, get up about 50 miles an hour, come down on the brakes and stop to 0, and then do it again. So I'm gonna do that right now and then turn around and go back the other way. And what you're trying to do is heat cycle the rotors and the pads and get everything so it's working together like it's supposed to. And when you collapse your pistons in your calipers and put your new pads on, first thing you want to do when you start the vehicle before you move it is pump the brakes a few times to get the pistons back out and get that empty space filled up with fluid again. The first time when I stepped on the brakes, it was pretty spongy feeling, and now it's getting better because stuff's getting bedded in together. And no more warped rotor shaking. Well, thanks for watching. I hope you found this useful, and maybe it'll help somebody that needs to do the same thing on their truck. If you like the video, please hit the like button and subscribe, and y'all have a good day.